Good afternoon, basketball fans. It's me, your host, G Shan's Takes. I changed the name from G Money's Takes to G Shan's Takes because I just feel like it has a better ring to it. You know what I'm saying? But as you all know, Christmas was recently, and I am here to give you guys a very, very, very special Christmas present. Also, Merry Christmas. So my present to you guys is a question. And that question is, what is the problem with the Phoenix Suns? Now, as you all know, a good 2 seasons ago, the Phoenix Suns were number one in the West, had the best record in the NBA, and just came off of a very, very, very strong season, losing to the Bucks in 6 games in the finals. And then 3 years later, after that season, here they are now with a record of 15-15, and they're 10th in the Western Conference, which is the last place you can be in to enter the play-in tournament. 2 years ago, in the 2021-20 season, the Phoenix Suns had the number 3 ranked defensive rating in the NBA, according to StatMoves. And now, when we go to the present day, their defense is now ranked number 18 throughout the whole NBA, sitting right behind the Chicago Bulls and right ahead of the New York Knicks. And then 2 years ago, we had the Phoenix Suns with the number 4 best offensive rating in the NBA, going to today, or their offensive rating is only 14th in the NBA. So their defensive rating and offensive rating decreased drastically over these last 2 years due to the number of roster changes they had and the amount of coaching changes that they've had as well. Me personally, I'm not a very, very big fan of the roster changes that the Phoenix Suns have made. I mean, although the team does look better on paper with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, I still believe that they're better beforehand. And that's not really saying too much. But when you look at the Suns beforehand and who they had in their roster was very, very balanced. They had a great mixture of offense and defense, and they had a facilitator like Chris Paul to put it all together. This Suns team today lacks a facilitator. They don't really have a true point guard. They have Booker and Beal rotating at the point guard position, and Beal's only played 6 games. And throughout those 6 games that he's played, he's averaged only 14 points a game. Yusuf Nurkic has always been out for a little bit. But then again, I see a lot of analysts and a lot of reporters saying that wait until the Suns get healthy, wait until Bradley Beal comes back, wait until Nurkic gets back. But I personally don't think Bradley Beal and Nurkic are going to fix the problem that's happening in the Valley. The Phoenix Suns are a great team. They look great on paper. But when you have Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Durant on the same team, that's not a team that you'd picture to be 15-15, only at 500 within the first 30 games of the season. I personally think that these roster changes that they made, like I said before, were not necessary at all. I understand that Chris Paul is aging, but if you wanted to get rid of Chris Paul, I would trade him for another facilitator. I wouldn't trade him for another scorer like Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal has no real defensive package at all. He's not the best defender. He's basically an all-around scorer. But then again, the Suns, Chris Paul was their glue. They were in need of a facilitator. They had a pretty decent facilitator as Ricky Rubio, but he couldn't facilitate as efficiently and as well as Chris Paul could. And I really, really do believe that facilitating and having a guard that can really move the ball and make plays for the players on this team is what made the difference from them being a bad team back in 2020 to them going to the finals in 2021. Because the only thing they really added to that roster was they moved Ricky Rubio, they added Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, and then all of a sudden they're a championship team. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Chris Paul, the player Chris Paul, is essential to the Suns being successful with the current roster that they have, but I believe that this Suns team can be way, way more successful if they just had a facilitator. Because like I said earlier, you have 2 shooting guards playing point guard. These guys cannot play make. Devin Booker can become a playmaker, but the only time I really see him become a playmaker, it was whenever he's struggling to score the ball. And what a lot of coaches say when it comes to high school basketball, college basketball, or even the pros themselves, when you have a scorer like Devin Booker, or any great scorer, and you turn them into a playmaker, and they can't generate a high number of points, that's that player doing a great job on defense because they're stopping that player from doing their main job. And Devin Booker's main job, and the thing that he's known for, is his incredible scoring ability. And like we saw, the Mavericks stopped that the other night on Christmas and turned him into a playmaker, putting up 10 assists. I do believe that there are a lot during the trade deadline, the Phoenix Suns need to look for a guard that can facilitate the ball and move the ball because they could be way more successful. And a lot of guys like Durant, Booker, Grayson Allen, and even Bradley Beal, once he comes back from injury, will have a better job and better opportunities scoring the ball. And my bad, I forgot about Eric Gordon as well. He's one of their best scorers too. But scoring the ball, you can score much more efficiently if you have a great playmaker on your squad. The Phoenix Suns have also struggled really, really badly defensively this season. And it does show in their defensive rating, where they rank number 18th in the NBA this season for their defense. I'm surprised because I'm not a big fan of Frank Vogel as a head coach. But one thing that Frank Vogel is actually not a bad coach when it comes to defense. He's actually a pretty solid coach when it comes to that. But then again, we could say two things about that. Because his Lakers squad did have some pretty good defenders on it, while this Phoenix Suns squad doesn't. And I believe that Frank Vogel is a great defensive coach when he has great defensive players. But this Suns squad does not have the best defense, and it shows in their defensive rating. And also, on the Christmas Day game against the Dallas Mavericks, we saw a lot of possessions where Derek Lively II was able to cut to the basket for a lot of easy lobs and a lot of easy dunks off of assists from Luka Doncic. But the fact that the Dallas Mavericks were able to do that very, very, very efficiently is a problem in my eyes. Also, I'm very, very surprised with the amount of wide open threes that Mavericks were able to generate against the Suns on Christmas Day as well. It shows me that their interior defense isn't as good and that they just don't simply know how to guard a three-point shooting team like the Mavericks. But my thing with hiring Frank Vogel, going back to the Frank Vogel topic, if they're going to keep Frank Vogel as a coach, Frank Vogel is a better defensive coach than he's an offensive coach. And I believe that Frank Vogel's defensive coaching style really has to do with the players that he has. But this Suns team this season, besides Yusuf Nurkic, Josh Okogie, and Grayson Allen on occasion, they're not the best defensive team, and it also does show in their defensive rating, as we discussed earlier. But I believe that if they want Frank Vogel to work out for them as a team, the general manager needs to do a better job of making sure that Frank Vogel has the correct pieces to properly coach this team and correct players. And they should also get him some very good offensive coaches and assistants as well. But without further ado, that's what I have to say about the Phoenix Suns' struggles this season. Like always, comment and let me know what you guys think about what I had to say down below in the comment section. And just go ahead and think about this topic. Think about this question. While you guys are hitting that like button, of course. Go ahead and think about it as you guys are doing that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Merry Christmas. Peace.